for being here today and joining us on the third workshop for the Academic Resilience series, Creating Smart Goals. And today it's going to be facilitated by Dr. Vicky Gomez, professor in public health and recreation. So I would like to thank you, Vicky, for being here today. And for all of you who are joining us today, I've added the handout in the chat box for you to follow along. And I also invite you, if you're in the position to do so, to share your cameras. We would love to see your beautiful faces. And, feel free to comment and, provide any questions in the chat box throughout the presentation. And that way I could share that with Dr. Gomez after her presentation. And she might have more things you would like to share. So I'll pass it over. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Elisa. FYI, I tend to monitor the chat as I go myself. So, but if you see that I'm not seeing something, then definitely, because I really love I have a student here who's in my class who knows that I love a very interactive classroom. So please feel free to, chat, comment, raise your hand if you want to say something. I definitely welcome any and all participation. So again, yes, I am Dr.Vicky Gomez. I teach in the department, I was gonna say the School of Public Health. I'm like, we don't have a School of Public Health. The Public Health Department. I feel very honored to have been asked to facilitate this workshop by Lily and Elisa, and the fact that it's sponsored by the Chicanx Latinx Student Success Center means a lot to me because this is a place that I love to do service for. This presentation, actually, this entire series is adapted from Dr. Magdalena Barrera, who is an associate professor and chair of Chicana and Chicano Studies. And I'm very grateful to her for really giving me the backbone of some really incredible material. So let's go ahead and get started. So let me just share with you our agenda, and then we're going to go through and do some introductions. So let's see. All right, so on our agenda today, we're going to do some introductions. We're going to talk about just goals 101, like what do we need to do? I know many of you already have goals, have probably already done some goal setting. This is maybe for most kind of a reminder to keep us on track with our goals. I'm going to go through the steps for setting SMART goals, and then we're going to talk about strategies for actually maintaining motivation, because that sometimes setting the goal sometimes is a lot easier than keeping the motivation to keep on going. And then we'll do a reflection and a wrap up. So let us start with some introductions. So what I would love, and I'm going to just call people down the list based on your first name. So I apologize for any of your parents that named you with A names, okay? So you're gonna say your name and hometown, your major or your possible major, what has been a highlight of the semester so far, and that can be school, work, or personal life, and what motivated you to attend this goal setting session today. So I'm going to start with Alejandra. Oh, or Elisa, do you want to participate? I was like, because you know what? I can ask you first. You're the first on my list.
Yeah, sure, of course. I can go first.
Yes.
My name is Elisa Aquino. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And my hometown, I am from Los Angeles, California, Mid-City, LA. And my major while I was an undergraduate was in Latin American Latino studies, with as well as sociology. And what has been a highlight of the semester so far, through as the program coordinator at the Centro, I've had the opportunity to connect with other students that I've met in the past, and even new students. And so that's been the highlight of the semester, just getting connected to folks and keeping in touch with people. It's really nice to have that connection, even though we're still in this virtual format. And what motivated me to attend today's goal setting session today? Well, one, we are co-sponsoring the event, but I really, I think I really like this workshop because, for myself, I always set goals for myself, but it's always really helpful to know how I'm going to achieve that goal for myself. And so even attending these workshops every fall semester, it's always a good reminder to me to, set goals for myself and, how to plan that out and to make it possible.
Excellent. Thank you, Elisa, for sharing, which just also reminded me, I'm going to share first, and then it's going to be Alejandra. So again, I'm Dr. Vicky Gomez. I like to be called she, her, hers, Prof G, Dr. G, those are the names I go by. I did my undergrad at San Francisco State University in health science when I was an undergrad. And I also did Raza studies, the equivalent of Chicano-Chicana studies. So hardcore ethnic studies. What has been a highlight of this semester is still finding ways, thank you, Elisa, still finding ways to connect with students. One of my favorite things of the semester has always been to have office hours at El Centro. So I love that I still have the opportunity to have office hours at El Centro. They're just virtual. So if anybody ever wants to come and see me on Friday from 12 to 1, you are more than welcome. What motivated me to attend this goal setting session today, besides the fact that I'm the facilitator, is that I love setting goals. And even more than setting goals, I love achieving goals. And I love the process, and I love it when you're flexible with yourself and you have compassion with yourself around this practice, because I think it can be really powerful. So I'm going to turn it over to Alejandra Castro.
I'm here. I'm just putting in my headphones. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Alejandra, do you want us to go to another person, or are you okay?
Oh, I just
Okay.
finished putting them
Okay,
on. I just had to
perfect.
get them quickly. My name is Alejandra Castro Gomez. I'm from San Jose. My major is biology, just the regular BA. I would say the highlight of this semester was kind of like, I have a pretty busy schedule. So I recently started working at another job again. So I have 2 jobs. And then I also own like a small little jewelry business. And then I'm a full-time student, like with school and everything. So that's why for me, I find it like really hard to kind of like do like my personal life, even though like on Tuesdays and Fridays, that's the time where it's just like me time and my family time and like time to like hang out with like people who like I've missed, or so I would say my highlight was maintaining a good grade in like most of my classes, like math, because I mean I don't really like math a lot, but that's why I also attended this to kind of inspire me to push myself to like do better in my math class. But overall, the highlight would probably be like maintaining a really good grade in all of my science classes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what motivated you to attend this workshop?
I would say to push myself a little harder. I would say like with my math class and everything. So just push myself a little harder so I can get that grade up more.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alejandra. And I am with Zaide. Please send your info because I'd love to see your jewelry. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next we have Alyssa Lopez.
Hello, my name is Alyssa. I'm from Newark, California. My major is sociology, and a highlight, I guess. I'm a newly transfer student, so everything's been kind of new and exciting, I guess. But I guess just being able to still engage with people, even though we're in this virtual setting too. The reason I took this workshop is just to make like little goals for myself. I find myself not thinking of the bigger picture rather than like smaller pictures. And so yeah, I think setting better goals is the best thing.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alyssa. All right, next we have Ana.
Hi everyone, my name is Ana Guadarrama. My major is kinesiology. What has been a highlight this semester has been being able to manage my time better. I am a full-time student at San Jose State, so I currently have a couple classes, and some classes are Zoom, and other classes I have to kind of work on my own pace. And I also have my business at home right now, so I'm working really hard on it to just get it going and everything. I make keychains and photo frames and key holders. What motivated me to attend is I just want to learn more about being able to set goals and achieve them, especially when it has to do with achieving a goal, and if it's something that you're really passionate about. And yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Ana. Please also put in your information so we could buy some of your stuff too, okay? We have a lot of entrepreneurs up in here. I love it. Okay, next we have Christopher Gudiel.
Hi, I'm Christopher Gudiel, and I'm from Castro Valley, California. And my major right now is kinesiology. And a highlight of the semester would be just connecting with people, meeting new people. This is my first year, so you know it's something super new, and I would say that's a big highlight for me. Um, what motivated me? Um, well, the same goal, like the same as a highlight. I want to like meet new people, see how other people like set their goals, and like it motivates me to set my own goals too. So yeah, just looking for other people's like how they figure out their goals and stuff. So I would say that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Christopher. I see you have like a lot of like awards behind you, a lot of medals. So I was like,
Oh, that's from sports, so that's
hey, that's important. So beautiful. All right, let's see. Next, we have Claudia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Claudia Rizzo. I'm from San Jose, and my major is child and adolescent development. I think my highlight of this semester has been like really being able to focus on like my schoolwork and like my personal life. And what motivated me to attend this goal setting session was because I want to find motivation and like to finish my goals. And yeah.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, Claudia. All right, next, there's someone that I believe I know. Christian.
Hi, Profe. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for hosting this and for having me here. Um, thank you, Lisa, for reminding me about this workshop again. um, so name hometown. So my name is Christian. Hometown. Well, I consider my hometown back over there in Salvador. Um, Salvador, Aguascalientes specifically, San Vicente actually. Um, I'm currently, that's I feel I consider that my hometown, but I'm currently living in Santa Clara, really close to San Jose. And my major is public health and psychology, or with a minor in psychology. And what has been highlight? Okay, so I think a highlight for me this semester, it's more with I think this internship I had working with the domestic violence prevention office in the Santa Clara County definitely opened my eye on a lot of issues pertaining in the communities, especially with women. I think gave me a more sense of to hear out and listen and just like step back and listen. I think that was one of the I tend to talk a lot, but I think this kind of interesting allowed me to explore that more and just listen. So it was really motivating and just heartfelting and motivating to me at the same time to just to hear them out. And I think that was a big highlight for me this summer. What motivated you to attend? So I think I think someone mentioned about having that bigger goal. Excuse me, but like the small things in between, I think that's where I'm not really adjusting or having that kind of action plan that can lead me towards like the outcome, I guess, of what I want in a sense. So I'm really, I'm advocate for SMART goals now. I realize how important it is, not because I'm taking HS 159 or classes like that. Maybe it contributes to that, but I think I've learned more through it how important it is, and I'm here to learn and hopefully get some tips and learn from everyone here. So thank you.
Thank you, Christian. All right, next we have Diana Canales.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Canales. I'm from Santa Barbara, California. So I'm a master's student in public health, and I'm taking 2 of Dr. Gomez's classes. So highlight of my semester was that I moved from SoCal not that long ago. So meeting people from school and everywhere else has been really nice. And it makes me feel less lonely, especially during right now. And then my motivation for coming, well, it was because of one of Dr. Gomez's assignments where it had me reflect on what skills I want to develop for my career and also like thinking about what I wanted for my career. So I'm like, okay, I have to get a head start on that and start setting some goals. And yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Diana. All right. I see that we had Valerie Valle join us. Valerie? Tal vez Valerie is not in a place to speak right now. So
Valerie shared on the chat.
Oh,
Hi
got it.
everyone,
There you
my
go.
mic is a bit fidgety. My name is Valerie Valle. I'm from San Jose and I'm majoring in psychology.
Excellent. Welcome, Valerie. And if you feel like it, in the chat, you can answer some of those questions. Yes, there she goes. A highlight is that she got her library card yesterday. That's exciting. And then maybe we'll hear about her motivation. Next, we're going to have Grace Cibrian.
Hi.
Hi, Grace.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. My name is Grace. My hometown is, I was born and raised in San Jose. My major is public health and a concentration in administration. What has been a highlight? So it's supposed to be a good thing, right?
Highlights usually tend to be, but you know what? It could be whatever you want it to be, Grace.
Okay. I just don't want to go too dark. I save money on gas. Yeah. And what motivated me to attend was Dr. Gomez, because I had her for an instructor and she was a good teacher, excellent teacher. Highly recommend her. And Elisa, I love her. She helps so much and does so much for us at the center. So yeah.
Thank you, Grace. It's so nice to have you. I haven't seen you in a long time, so it makes me happy to see my previous students. All right, next we have Julissa Ramos.
Hi, so my name is Julissa Ramos and my hometown is Gilroy here in California. My major is Justice Studies. And what has been a highlight? So a highlight for me has to be starting with this whole COVID thing. I was a bit worried that it would reflect on my academics. So a highlight would definitely have to be the fact that I've been managing this whole online schooling. I've taken online classes before, but now with all of them being online and some being on Zoom and some are not, it's kind of hard to manage that. So that's why, going on to question number four, that's why I decided to hop on here, because I was like, hey, this might help with some managing, some goal setting, so I can finish the semester strong, because I am graduating next semester. So I was like, I need some goal setting in my life right now.
Excellent. Well, welcome. We're happy to have you. And then last we have Zaide.
Hi, my name's Saide and my pronouns are, sorry, my dog's here. My pronouns are they, them. And I'm also from El Salvador, but I'm living in San Leandro. And my major, I took last semester off from school and I switched to recreational therapy. So a highlight has been just feeling really happy in my major and feeling super motivated in school again. And I wanted to attend this meeting because I just feel like with feeling so like refreshed with school, it's a really good time to set some new goals and try to follow them this semester.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I don't know if your dog appreciates goal setting today.
She was looking at the garbage man.
Oh, thank you. Some pet therapy today. Well, thank you all for sharing what has brought you here today. I'm really excited that we get to go on this journey together this afternoon. So let's begin. Now that we know a little bit about each other and we know we're building community here today, let's get into what we came for. So what is a goal? Right? So, I mean, I feel like when we think about, what is the goal that we have for ourselves, I like to think of it as that a goal is a dream with a plan, right? Because goals, oftentimes, that's how our dreams get started. When we start thinking about, for me, even being the first person in my family to ever get a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and then a doctorate degree, right? Like I had to have that goal that that's what I wanted to do, right? It was like my dream. And then I had to come up with a plan to make it happen, right? So that is what we're here to do today, especially since you all have expressed interest and that some people are really good at, kind of like having the little goals to get to the big goal. Some folks are still trying to figure out what their big goal is. We're here today for all of it. So really quickly, I'd love for you guys just individually thank you so much, Valerie. That's very sweet. I want you guys just to think just to yourselves about these reflection questions, okay? So what is a goal you set for yourself in the past? Okay, so think about something that you've set for yourself in the past. What inspired you to set that goal? What were the specific things you did to achieve it? And how did you feel when you met that goal? So I really would love for you guys to think about that. If you want to jot any notes down, give you guys a minute because I'm going to do this myself. And then just a couple people, just because obviously I know we want to make sure that we get to the end of the workshop, who feel like inspired to share, they can share.
Is this an academic goal or any goal?
It really could be any goal, right? Because goals really are about all aspects of who we are, because we're not just academics. That's one part of our identity, but it's not all of who we are. Great question. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share first. A goal that I set for myself was to become Doctora Gomez. What inspired me to set that goal is when I did Raza studies at San Francisco State, I was born and raised in the Mission District of San Francisco. I'd never seen a professor that looked like me before. That was really powerful. And she told me in my first semester as a transfer student, because I also transferred from community college, which I love, City College of San Francisco, what? She told me that I was going to be Doctora Gomez one day. And the power of those words, that they stuck with me for as many years as they did, until I did become Dr. Gomez. So that was really, I think, really powerful. I think it reminds me the power of words and the power of mentors and who it is that we surround ourselves with. So the specific things that I did, unfortunately, she passed away, which I think, that's also a reason why I felt like I also needed to do it. I think I wanted to honor her memory, and also just knew I wanted other students in public health that had professors that look like them. Again, representation is so important. So for me, the specific things that I did is that I actually applied for programs, and it was one of the scariest experiences of my life. And I think I cried pretty much every day of my doctorate because it was hard, and I certainly didn't feel like the institution was built for me. I went to UC Berkeley. But when I accomplished that goal, I have a book behind me. It's me with a bunch of mariachi members for my graduation party, because I cried to have achieved that goal, right? So for me, that's probably one of the biggest goals that I've ever been able to achieve. And now I got to think about, what's my next goal going to be, right? What am I going to do next? So yes, thank you, Diana. So is there anybody who would like to share kind of like a part of their reflection? Maybe we'll have just a few people who feel inspired that they want to share. Either raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat. Thank you guys for your encouraging words. Who feels comfortable? And if you don't feel comfortable enough to share, because I know this is private, do you know what I mean? Like, that's okay too. But is there anybody? I'm like, if not, I might just call on Elisa. All right, Elisa, it looks like you're on tap.
Hi, everyone. So what is a goal that you set for yourself in the past? Yeah, I had many things that were coming up to my head when I was thinking of that question. But one thing that came to my mind was I had the goal of studying abroad for a year. And ideally it sounded really nice, but I also thought of the financial restrictions and challenges that I would have, being away for a whole year and, not being able to work abroad, and how I was going to, make enough money to save up for that entire year. And so, I was just really, I really wanted to, have that experience of studying abroad. And so I was really just motivated and inspired to make that happen. And so a few specific things that I did to achieve it. The year prior to that, I had to pick up multiple jobs as an undergraduate. And so I was quite busy, but I did have, I was reaching out to my mentors, and just to stay connected with them and to feel supported, because I had a lot on my plate. I had a few jobs on campus and off campus. And then I also had to meet with a few of the folks that work in the study abroad office, because I didn't really know of the process of studying abroad. So the year prior to that, I was, informing myself of the process, what documents were required for me to be able to make this possible and to meet the deadline, because usually you apply a semester or a year before doing that program. So I did meet my goal, and it was a really satisfying goal, even though the year prior to that, I was, it was a really intense year of just trying to save up enough money to be able to make this happen. But I was also really thankful to have had, staff members, at the study abroad office and other advisors who supported me through that process. And so I felt also just grateful to have that sense of community and support.
Yeah, where did you do this? Exactly, Deanna. That's exactly my question. ¿A dónde?
See, I got to spend a semester in Chile and Argentina, and then the following semester I was in Madrid, Spain.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Elisa, for sharing that with us, and thank you for letting me put you on the spot. Beautiful. I agree. I think sometimes it's really tough to really to decide to travel while you're in school when we're still trying to survive is really hard, and it takes a lot of planning, and I really commend you for that. So thank you for sharing and what is possible. All right, so thank you guys for reflecting. Hopefully you're keeping what it is that you reflected about. And if anybody wants to put any of what they came up with in the chat, then please do. I see that we've had Martin come and join us. Martin, do you want to quickly just introduce yourself?
Okay. Some reason, trying to get my camera to start on.
It's okay, we can see your beautiful picture.
Hi everyone, I'm Martin. I'm a student who uses the Central. This is my last semester at SJSU.
Excellent. What motivated you to come to this workshop, Martin?
Well, I'm at my last semester at school, and I am in a difficult course right now, and I am trying to utilize my teachers' time to help me get through nutrition and physical fitness. But I'm just having some issues right now with just getting my teachers to work with me, because he's been having a lot of technical. He's really disorganized in teaching, and I'm trying to work with him right now to get the best service I can so I can graduate successfully, because I just need area R to graduate this semester.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Martin. I remember you when I used to spend time in El Centro, so good to see you here. in this virtual space. All right, so now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of goals themselves, right? There's many types of goals, okay? So we have kind of routine, problem solving, developmental goals. Hold on, I'm gonna go ahead and mute there. And when we think about routine goals, those are the kind of goals that we think about when we want to like help to maintain like some good habits. Problem solving goals help you to change ineffective habits. And then developmental goals are the ones that help you foster your growth. Okay, so these are the three, and those can all come in different ways, right? So there's academic, there's health and fitness, there's financial goals that you may have, and then there's personal goals that you have. And then of course we have to think about time-based goals, right? Some things we want instantly, like for this semester, kind of like what Martin was sharing with us, right? Some of them are longer term goals for us. So you have to think about the time. So are they short term? Are they long term, or are they I was like, wait, lifetime. I was like, where did my lifetime go? Okay, I see it down there. I see that Deanna has said, in the past, I set a goal to have some money in my account. I was inspired by this goal because of the pandemic happening. I wanted to save some money just in case things turned out difficult. Specific things with my new job, I started saving almost every check and tried to live as cost efficiently as possible, coupon sales, and I felt really good and set another goal to save some more. That's awesome, Deanna. I think the pandemic can be really helpful for us. Like, it's true, like no more gas, as Grace said, right? Like that was like 40 bucks every 2 weeks, done. Parking, right? Like all those little things that we would spend a lot of money, that definitely helps. So I love that you've already set another goal. So thank you for sharing your reflection with us. Let's see here. So the elements of a goal are, goals are things you want, not things you don't want. So really be careful. The language and how we phrase things is very, very important, right? I don't want to fail this class is not a goal. Do you know what I mean? To like look forward to. I want to pass with a B or better, right? Like, so framing has a lot to do with goals. So when you look and you start thinking about your goals, really think about the language that you're using. And sometimes the language that we use, we don't mean to. It happens subconsciously, but we don't realize that sometimes we may be adding like a negative, do you know what I mean? Kind of like bias to something, right? So like really think about what is the most kind of uplifting, right? Or compassionate way that you can look at something, right? In your goal. And I know when I was younger, there was like some mean goals that I sometimes would have for myself. And it was like, that wasn't effective as opposed to when I had more kind of like positive and compassionate goals. They need to be specific, right? So we're going to talk about the SMART goal format shortly when we get into that part, but it's like they have to be specific, right? Like they have to, they're achievable, you know, relative, relevant, time-based, right? So we'll talk more about that in depth. So the realistic part is the most, because you don't want to set up yourself. Part of the goal setting process that is really exciting, in my opinion, is breaking your goals down into little goals and then achieving those little small wins. And that's what gives you the momentum to keep on going. So if you don't set realistic goals, then you just end up feeling like I'm not accomplishing what I said I would accomplish. So you have to like be really intentional about how you're measuring your goals. So I want to win the lottery, which I have to tell you, like my family, my mom and dad, that's all they ever wanted, was to win the lottery. They spent a lot of money on the lottery. If they would have just invested that money that they spent on the lottery, they would have had a lot more money than they had, right? But when you're a kid, you don't know that. So I just was like, yes, let's go buy the lottery tickets. Let's go play the lotto. So how can you realistically plan for something that's based on pure chance, right? Like I always would tell my mom, like, Mom, like that's poverty mentality. Like we can't continue to go down like that line. Like, yes, it's nice, it's a fluke. And if we win it, that's great. But we also have to have other goals and other plans to achieve, right, some more economic security. So she finally stopped buying the lottery. So I feel like, you know what I mean? My job was done. So when you think about like a goal that is achievable, right? So a goal, I want to get a B or better in all of my classes. So I know that somebody earlier had echoed that they were really proud of themselves, right? For, you know, I think it was Alejandra who talked about getting a good grade in her classes, right? Because they're not easy, especially I think the math and the science classes. You know, so what are some possible goals that you can set for yourself to actually get to a B or better? So in the chat, or like if you, what would you do if you wanted to get a B or better in all your classes? What would you do? So this is just one example, like that you would go to class every day, right? So what are some other examples in the chat? If you wanted to get a B or better in your classes, what is it that you would have to do? So I see Deanna, absolutely. Go to office hours. Your professors, that is like something they have to do. So why wouldn't you take advantage? And I know sometimes they have them at times that are not convenient for you, but we are required that if a time isn't, convenient for you, that we find a time that's convenient. So really don't hesitate to do that. I love it. More people echoing, review notes for 20 minutes, at least every single day, engage in class discussion. Absolutely, Alyssa. Christian, space out things, study groups.
Vicky?
Yes, Martin.
Earlier I mentioned that my professor is very disorganized. What are some ways that I can convince him to be an effective teacher to set these office hours for me? Because right now I am very determined to get an NSF 163, but I am dealing with a professor who may not seem to consider my time as a student. Because I set office hours twice this week. He did not show up.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing that. So Martin, first and foremost, if you've already tried to get him, to go to office, to have office hours, and obviously it's his responsibility as a professor, is I would go to that department and actually speak to somebody from that department. So the chair of that department, because actually it's a policy that we are required to have 2 hours of office hours, I want to say, or at least an hour per week. We are required as professors to do that. So that is one thing. Like at this point, if you've already tried to get in contact with him and that hasn't worked, then that's the way that I would consider it. I'm willing to talk to you after this session if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No worries.
Thank you, Martin. So yes, you guys are all exactly study for exams, study groups, ask questions if you don't understand and get involved, right? I'll sit towards the front of the classroom or I'll participate with my camera on in Zoom, right? Like that kind of makes you a little bit more engaged when you are participating with your camera on. I will review my notes from every class every day, kind of like what Diana was saying, right? Like I like that you were at least every other day. Let's be real. Reviewing your notes for a class every single day maybe isn't realistic, but at least taking that time to review your notes. I will begin every assignment the day it is given. Now that's also very lofty. Do you know what I mean? But like maybe another goal could be, I will aim to finish that assignment at least a day before it's due, right? Like that's always a good one for me because I am that student that is like at 11:58 p.m. when something is due at 11:59 p.m. Not that I recommend that. I don't at all. And then next, I will visit my professors in office hours at least once a month. And I feel like you guys really had that. Ooh, Valerie, what is a concept? Oh, you mean like I thought it was a concert map. I was like, I want to know about a concert map. Do you mean like concept maps, kind of like a mind map in essence? Oh, that's right, Valerie. Okay, perfect. Excellent. I just remembered the microphone issue. All right, wonderful. I'm a big fan of a mind map. My mind is very visual. So for me, I like to see visuals, but everybody's different. Like, I think what's hard in college is that we see how other people do things and we're like, oh, we should do what they're doing. But actually what our job is to actually find what works best for us, right? So thank you for sharing. So now actually, this is like where the juice of the workshop is. It's really honestly time to roll up your sleeves, and that PDF, do you mind, Elisa, just one more time putting it into the chat in case people didn't have a chance to take a look at it? I highly recommend, either you can open up a Google Doc to start writing some of these things out. I also have them in the slides themselves. So we're going to go through the steps today together in actual real time. Okay, so I'm going to be doing this exercise with you all as well. So let's see what goals we can come up with for ourselves as a part of this process. So first and foremost, step number one is you need to think about your why. Okay, what matters most to me and why? And the reason why you need to know your why is there's going to be, and many of you guys know this already, there's a lot of hard times that happen when you're in school, juggling, your own business, juggling, do you know what I mean? Like multiple classes. Like for me, I had a son when I was 19. So I, took 4 classes a semester. I had 3 side hustle jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to know your why because it's what keeps you motivated to keep on going when times get tough, right? And I always say, I'm a big crybaby. I'm a big chiona. Like, that's just how I tend to get through life. And it really works for me. Like, not in a negative way, more in like I'm going to release, I'm going to cry and I'm going to release. And then I'm going to be able to like, you know, like move forward like the next day. So you got to find the things that work for you and really think about your why. So I'm going to challenge you guys right now, please, to either open up a Google Doc if you're into writing, like in a journal with paper. If you have whatever it is that works for you, I want you to think about these questions and write some things down. So I know this is a lot. So now that I've experienced, and for me, I'm 44, now that I've lived 44 years of life, what feelings and experiences do I value most, right? So I really want you to tap into, like, when you interact with something and your heart opens, right? Like, those are the things that we tend to value most, okay? What motivated me to pursue a college degree? Why did I embark on this journey? And what knowledge and skills did I hope to gain, right? Like, you guys all, when you guys decided to come to San Jose State University, you guys had an idea in mind as to why you were motivated to go. Like, for me, it was to be the first in my family, right? Like, that this is what I wanted for myself. Okay. And I had a kid. I mean, my son was just, you know, a couple years old, and I wanted to be able to provide a better life for him. Right. So that was a reason to do that. Yes, Deanna, Chionas Unite for real. What are the things I do well, and what activities make me lose track of time, and why? Like, there's some things that we do well that we don't love. So that's fine. But I want you to think about, like, when you do something that you love, like for me, I love music, I love dancing. I could lose myself in hours doing that, right? Like, so think about what are the things for you that you can just lose track of your time. And then last, what causes do I feel strongly about? Right? Like, and most of us do, right? We're very social justice oriented at San Jose State University. I think just us, like, culturally, right? So in an ideal world, what values would I see reflected in my campus and in my home communities? So I want you to think about these things. And all of these questions are already in that PDF for you. So I'm going to give us 2 minutes right now, because I'm also going to be joining you guys, to jot some things down. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? This is just, I want you to think about, like, what is your purpose? Why do you do what you do? What motivates you to wake up in the morning and have joy in the morning? All right, we're closing up on 2 minutes. So if you, hopefully I see people, I see Grace, you're like deep in thought. All right, so I invite anybody to share. I'm gonna share a little bit. For me, what I value the most is honestly connection and like in interpersonal relationships, I think are everything in this life, right? Like, we are no one without our community. Like, our communities are so important, and it's why I do what I do. Again, what motivated me to pursue a college degree was to be able to provide for my son, to be able to provide for my family, to be able, I think, like, to stand on the shoulders of giants who had gone before me and opened the doors for me so that I can continue opening the doors for others, right? To show, like, what was possible. What are the things that I do well? People. I feel like people are just my jam. I love people. Like, we're all storybooks. Like, I love getting to know, like, the specific stories of how we all came to be where we are, right? And to be able to be seen and heard, and to be able to see and hear people is very, very powerful. And what causes do I feel strongly about? I mean, I'm in public health, so I'm very social justice. I'm about health equity. I'm about abolishing prisons. I'm about, you know, like fighting for racial justice. So I wish that we lived in a world where those things were still not issues, but that just means that we have to continue fighting even more. So what came up for you all? And you don't have to answer the questions to all of them. If there's just one part of a question that you want to answer, and again, like Elisa said, please feel free to use the chat box as well. But if there's anything that you want to share with us, yes, Alejandra.
I definitely agree with you on the first two, well, on everything that you said. But yeah, I feel like what motivates me is because like I grew up going to a public school, and you can tell that like my public school was probably not the best. Like I know some like middle schools and elementary schools, they provide like Spanish for other students, but my school was only like English, and Spanish was my first language. So I remember like going to that school and not knowing anything that they were saying. And then later on, like in high school, I feel like that's when I learned more about like my culture and like identifying myself more and everything, and the way that I like to identify myself as. And I feel like especially like even like coming from a lower income family, it definitely shows you like different perspectives of the world and how you're treated, and also like by color and everything. And I know, like, I don't know, I took a it was called, what was it called, Latino literature. There you go. I can't believe I forgot it. I took that class, and I remember we were reading a book by, I think his name was Luis Rodriguez. It was a book about how like he talks about like his coming up like age, and like how he grew up in like a gang, and that was his way on surviving. But then like he like overpasses that, and later on like he creates his own life. But he shows you how there's a lot of children who like that's the only way they turn to, like they have nowhere else to go to. So that's just like what grew up and how he grew up and everything. So I would say like that's definitely what motivates me more, is giving back to my community. And that was a big reason why I chose San Jose State, because at first I think I didn't qualify for my major of biology by a little bit, because I searched up the wrong major for the eligibility index, and then they actually denied me. But then I appealed, and I had to like write a big essay why I wanted to go to San Jose State. And one of the main like points of views was for the community, because I know like San Jose State is very diverse, and like the community and everything. And since I've always grown up here, that was like a big reason. So I don't want to keep taking everybody's time, but that's my part on what motivates me, my community.
That's wonderful, Alejandra. Like, that's so powerful. And I agree. Like, again, like I was born and raised in San Francisco in the Mission District. I have a lot of pride for where I come from. That definitely motivates me, right? Like, you know, and wanting to give back. And just like you, I chose to come to San Jose for a reason. I wanted to come to a Hispanic serving institution, right? Like knowing that Latinx, right? Like that our gente were represented here. So thank you for sharing that. I see Ana has put in the chat, I value being able to help my undocumented community. At San Jose City College, I was able to be the voice for those who are afraid to be heard. As a leader, I have gained knowledge, and I'm so passionate about helping my community. Yes. So again, like it doesn't have to be like, you know, even long, but like think about like what your why is, and remind yourself, like I like to, oftentimes every couple of years, I'll work on a vision board. Like, what is it that I want for myself in the next couple of years? So like, it's something visual that I can just look at, right? And it doesn't even have to be like, it could be a virtual vision board. I mean, you know, you could do that like on Jamboard if you wanted, but really like think about all the why, so that on those days where it is tough, because sometimes those exams are really hard, or do you know what I mean? Like it's hard to communicate with your professor, or do you know what I mean? Like things are rough at your job, or like your familia is, you know what I mean, driving you crazy, right? Like you got to remember, you know, what your why is. So thank you so much, Alejandra, for sharing. So hopefully you guys are going to be thinking about what your why is. If anybody else feels like sharing their why, please, you know, either share with us vocally or continue to put things in the chat. But then again, I also understand these are very personal things. So I can understand if some people aren't necessarily wanting to put these things on blast. So we respect however it is that you show up today. All right, so now let's think about step 2. So now we have our why. Why do we do what we do? So now I want you to actually identify your current goals, right? Like, so based on what matters to you, now that you've kind of thought about what matters to you, what is it that you actually want to achieve? Okay. So in the handout, right, I think this is on page 2, you begin step 2 by brainstorming just some initial short-term goals. So this is like this semester or this academic year. And then some long-term goals, which is like graduation and beyond, right? Like this semester could be all about like trying to pass a class, trying to graduate, right? But above and beyond that, like what kind of job is it that you want to get out in the world? Like what are your kind of like professional goals? Do you want to go to graduate school? Do you want to get a doctorate, right? Like these are the things, and anything in between. It doesn't need to even necessarily be academic. Again, and don't worry if these goals are vague. It's just right now, like just to really think about what are the things, like if somebody asked you, like, what is it you want to do? What is it that you want to get done? What do you want to achieve? Like, just kind of like your brain go. And even if it sounds crazy, like, because sometimes like the things that come up, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that's what I want to do. Entertain those thoughts, okay? Because you never know where they're coming from and they may be something fun to achieve. So next then, consider not only what you want to accomplish for yourself personally and academically, but also how you want to contribute to your SJSU Latinx community and your home community. And it doesn't have to just even be your SJSU Latinx community. I mean, obviously, we would all love it if everybody was super active in the centro like every single day. Like it was when we were in person. But just think about who is it that you want to contribute to? Because sometimes our goals aren't just about ourselves. Many of us, we do what we do because we want to actually help others, right? And then after that, aim to write at least one personal academic goal and one leadership community goal for both the short and the long term. So this is already on the sheet and I'm going to share it with you. So you can see that it has, right, like all the little areas, short-term, personal, and academic, leadership and community. So the short-term and the long-term. So I want you to, at the very least, come up with at least one for the short-term and one for the long-term. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. I'm going to give you guys like 3 minutes. And I'm going to do this too. I'm going to see what comes up for me. And Elisa, just be ready to be on tap just in case, okay? All right, 1 more minute. These are hard. I really struggled. There's 4 total that I came, so. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share first just to like open it up. So my first short-term goal within the personal academic is to get through the semester without burning out. That's my first goal. That was the hardest to come up with, though. I have to say the short-term one was the hardest. For leadership and community, my short-term goal, I would love to, in the next academic year, if I could, I want to become the Chicanx Latinx fellow. I really want to work towards that goal. So that's something to consider. And then for my long-term goal, personal, I've always wanted to become a Zumba instructor. And I feel like obviously that's a little tough right now. Okay, I recognize that, but that's something that I would love to do. And then for leadership and community, I'd love to do a TED Talk on community health. So those are my 4. They were kind of hard. Yes, Deanna, I should have a Zumba session in one of our classes. That would be so much fun. I could think we could make that as community goal. Valerie, does anyone have daily goals? Valerie, I love daily goals. And we'll get to that point. I think as we start to break these down, we can talk about what daily goals look like. So that's a great point. So who would like to share what they came up with? Doesn't have to be all of them. It could just be some of them. I love that awesome sauce. Elisa, daily goals have helped me. Yes, I see Diana has her hand up.
Okay, so for my short-term goals, I told myself that I wanted to finish the semester with a 4.0.
I'm like, let me remember that as your professor. No, just kidding.
Push me. And then for leadership and community, because I'm new to the area, I do want to get to know the SJSU Latinx community. So yeah, those are my short-term goals. And then for my long-term goals, I want to graduate from the MPH program while having successfully defended my thesis. And then for leadership and community, I'm still working on that because I think it's just hard because I don't know what's in the area, but I'll keep working on that.
I love that. I think these are all excellent goals, and I feel like, like you're in the right place to make them happen. You want to get to know more about the SJSU Latinx community, you got to kick it with Elisa, and you got to kick it with Lily at El Centro. So I highly recommend that. I know it has been one of the joys of being at San Jose State. I see that Christian has his hand up, but I see that he's also still working on his goals at the same time.
Yeah, I think this is great. I'm getting inspired by just like the comments. I think that's what I need, and I love this. I'm glad I came here. There's like ideas rushing in my head. But something to share out for sure. Short goals to graduate this semester. I have like a little bit less than 2 months, I believe, or a little bit more than 2 months. But it's coming. It's coming. So being able to graduate this semester for personal and academic. And then at the same time, I think it's doable with me exploring more. I think goes with the leadership and community role. I think exploring the health and the criminal justice alone, because I really, and then that actually ties in with my long term, which will help me to solidify to go to grad school. I definitely would want to get more experience with health and criminal justice. I know I was part of this health conference, and I knew I wanted to do something with the criminal justice, but I didn't know how. But they had this new concentration in one of the school campus that I heard through the conference. I think it was the Toro University, California. And it's a new concentration that they have, and the first school to have that officially being recognized in that campus. So I'm really excited to kind of explore it right now in that leadership community role in ways I can volunteer, or like how I can get my feet in there in a way. So that will like push me forward to applying for grad school soon.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much, Christian. Again, I feel like I'm in this wonderful position to be able to help you to achieve your goals. I love that. All right, wonderful. I hear a lot of people have to go because you have to go to class. Thank you so much for coming. If you afterwards, Elisa will go ahead and post the recording and send it out to you. So you can definitely come and see me at office hours. If you want to talk more about this, 12 to 1 on Fridays. I highly recommend it. Christian has taken advantage of this time before, so you are most welcome. Oh, I love it. Central SJSU is our channel. You guys are amazing. All right, so hopefully you guys, we're not going to obviously be able to get to go through everybody's. And again, I know some people like it's personal, but hopefully you were able to write some things down, because we kind of need these, what you've already your preliminary goals, we need those in order to make them into SMART goals. So who knows what a SMART goal is? Who's heard of SMART goals? Have some folks, okay, I see Christian. I think I saw Alyssa, a little bit of a hand maybe go, no, Alyssa's like, no. All right, so SMART goal is really, because oftentimes like if you say like, I wanna be healthy, right? Like that's a really big goal without having anything that's tied to it. So how can you be successful at that if you haven't thought about it specifically? And I love it, Valerie, that you saw it at a poster at Kaiser. Yes, a specific time-based goal. Beautiful, Valerie. So yes, S stands for specific, and let me go ahead and change the slide. M stands for measurable. A is for achievable. R is for relevant, and T is for time-based. Okay, so you really have to think. So when you examine a goal that you have for yourself, if you just say, I want to be healthy by 2021, well, what are the steps that you need to take in order to get to that point, right? Like you'd have to definitely start thinking about a few things, right? You'd have to maybe consider, right? Like changing your diet, getting in more exercise, but how are you going to do that? Are you going to exercise 7 days a week? Are you going to exercise 4 days a week? Like, what does that look like for you? So you want to really think about it in these terms. So in the sheet, we're going to go through how to do that. So again, this is a time for you to transform your preliminary goals into SMART goals. So I want you to think, and I'm going to do the same thing, guys. I'm going to do the same thing. So I want you to think about this. When you're thinking about those goals, I want you to just pick one of each, right? Pick one of those preliminary goals that you came up with, a short term and a long term. And let's really work through the short. I like the idea of working through both only because one is like immediate and another one is kind of like gives you vision. So pick one of each. And I want you to think about these things when you think about it, and only answer these parts of the question as you're going through the little boxes, okay? So if when we think about specific, like Valerie said, who is involved? What do I want to accomplish? Where will it get done? And why am I doing this, right? So my first goal was to make it through the semester without burning out, right? I've done it before. I don't want to do it again, right? So that is for me. Next, I want you to think about measurable. How much, how many, and how often? How will I track my progress, right? How am I going to know that I've achieved, right? Like my goal, like I need to have like a time frame about it, right? Next is attainable. Is my goal actually reasonable, right? What additional resources or support do I need? Is the goal relevant? Is it worthwhile? What will it mean to me if I accomplish that goal? And then timely, what is the deadline for this goal? What benchmarks can I schedule before that date? So I want you guys, we're gonna spend 3 minutes kind of at least on I'm gonna do it for one of my goals. I'm gonna focus on this burnout goal because I think this is gonna be really important for me this semester. I'm gonna fill it out, answer each of those questions, and then we're going to get to the final version where we use the details above to make your preliminary goal into a SMART goal. Okay, so let's take 3 minutes until 2:07 to work on at least one of our goals. All right, about 1 more minute. Okay. How did you guys do? Did you guys get to get through one of them, or do you guys feel like you need a little bit more time? I feel like people are still. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share mine, and then if people feel like they want to share. So I only got to the burnout one because 3 minutes is not enough, and I want to just make sure that we make it to the end. And if we have time at the end, we can continue working on these, but I want to make sure that I get through all the material. So again, my preliminary goal is to not burn out before the end of the semester. And I feel like a lot of students are experiencing this. I feel like more students, more than ever, are saying that they feel like they could burn out this semester because professors are actually assigning more work. Right? Alyssa's nodding. Because we think you guys are at home, so you have all this time, right? So we're assigning more. And now that it's online, it's a different kind of interaction. So I feel like it's not just about professors burning out. I definitely have heard from a lot of my students, like burnout is real. So for me, this is a specific goal, who's involved, right? Me, not burning out. Really, it's going to happen at home. It's about me taking care of myself, right? Is it measurable? Yes. Every day I will do something 5 times a week to take care of myself. And I will track it via my Evernote daily journal. And then is it attainable? Yes. It is attainable, but the additional resources that I need is I actually need my family to support me through this, right? I need my friends and my family to support me because left to my own devices, I will just work 16 hours a day. And I've been told that that's not okay. Relevant. Yes, I will feel like a whole person at the end of the semester, right? The goal is definitely worthwhile because maybe a year ago, my first year, I had to take myself on a solo trip to Puerto Rico. I was so burnt out. So obviously that's not a possibility this year. So I would like to figure out how to do that without having to spend that amount of money and travel. Timely, I want to do it by December 23rd. For me, the semester for me ends on December 23rd when the grades are due for the students. Okay, so the final version of my SMART goal, right? So I took all those pieces of information and I said, by December 23rd, I will practice self-care such as meditation and dancing 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, for 5 to 10 minutes a day. And I will track my progress with my daily Evernote journal. So do you see how specific that is? So I will know if I don't make my goal, I'll be really clear if I didn't make my goal. Like if I only do it 4 times a week, or I don't end up, right? And if I don't end up tracking it, it's going to be very clear to me if I can track this goal or not. And I feel like doing that makes it so much more realistic. I have a goal, I have a plan on how to make that a reality. So who would like to share what they came up with? So I saw you guys writing, and if you feel comfortable to share, of course. I see Elisa's kind of like took herself like a little bit back. She's like, don't call on me. Who would like to share? Who feels comfortable? Or you have to share all of it. Okay, great, Elisa. Okay, excellent. I'm glad that you're in for it. Is there anybody else who feels comfortable sharing right now? And it's okay if it's a no. All right, in that case, Elisa, I am calling on you. So thank you for being willing to do so.
Sure. So a long-term goal that I have for myself is to apply to graduate school. And so I set one goal specifically to be able to achieve that. And so, what do I want to accomplish through this goal is to strengthen my reading and writing skills, specifically because I've been away from just kind of academia for a while. So I need to get in the habit of, just reading more, writing more. And I want to do this, achieve this smaller goal so that I can be more prepared for graduate school. And so measurable, how much and how often. So my goal that I set for myself is dedicating 3 to 4 hours on Sundays to reading and writing in preparation for graduate school, applications, the process, and just to, again, like strengthen my skills. So that's how often I will be doing it. Pretty much until I reach the application deadline or continuously. So doing that every Sunday, pretty much for the rest of the year, I would say, or the following year. And I think I would say this goal is reasonable given my schedule. I chose to do this on the weekends because usually Monday through Friday, after work, I like to decompress and just, not worry about any reading or writing. And so I think it's relevant, definitely, because that is my goal, to go to graduate school. And what is the deadline for this goal? And what benchmarks can I schedule before the day? So I think my deadline for this goal, I definitely don't have a deadline. I want to continue this and make this more of a continuous habit. And what benchmarks can I schedule before that date? That's a good question, V.
Yeah,
I'll come back to that
yours,
one.
I don't know.
And
right, like it's only if you wanted to like maybe increase the time that you were doing for it or something like that. I think since yours is kind of like a continuous goal, that makes sense. My question to you is though, 3 to 4 hours is a long time. Would it be more reasonable if you said 1 to 2 hours on Sundays? I mean, have you been doing this? Have you been doing this on Sundays? Have you been sticking to the 3 to 4 hours?
Pre-COVID, I was doing this, but it was just easier for me with just being at home all the time. I haven't tried it for that long. So that's a good question. I would say if maybe at the beginning, if I don't adjust well, I could start with fewer hours and then increase it to the 3 to 4 hours after a few weeks of practicing.
Yeah, like that could be the benchmark, right? Like that could be the bench. Like you could be like, I'm just going to do 1 hour. Do you know what I mean? And then like your benchmarks could be like, after every quarter, you can think about maybe increasing it. And I do actually recommend, don't make it as a continuous goal, because when we say it's a continuous, what ends up happening is that then you're like, oh, but I could do it next week. Like, I think if you put a time frame on it, you can say like it could be like usually this is the time where graduate applications start to open, right? So you could actually say like October of 2021, right? Like that could be your goal. And how are you going to keep track of this goal? Elisa, are you going to write this down in a journal? Are you going to keep like some kind of spreadsheet? What are you going to do? How are you going to track it?
So I use Google Calendar.
Excellent.
I love Google Calendar. I also have a physical calendar, just as a daily reminder if I'm not on my computer. But I do like Google Calendar because I get the notifications on my phone. And so that's always just a good reminder if I forget that I should be doing something else.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing. All right. Who else wants to share what they were able to come up with? What goal did you focus on for this part of the work? I mean, it's one thing to like say that you want to do something. It's a whole other thing to operationalize it, right? To really think about, thank you, Grace, to really think about how am I going to make this happen? Because it's easy, again, to look in the future and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get that done. Like, no problem. Like, I'm always like, I'm going to learn how to speak Spanish better. I always say that, like, my Spanish is going to improve. But unless I actually do something to get there, then every single year it's my same goal because I haven't actually set any specific steps, right? So we have to really be intentional. So who feels comfortable sharing what they came up with? Somebody in the, I see Christian, excellent, thank you.
Oh yeah, I can go if nobody's willing.
Well, they're not that they're not willing, but it might be personal.
Okay, yeah. First, yeah, I like that. Oh, how you frame it. But yeah, I think mine is very, I think very, how do I say, more, I guess now that I'm graduating, it's more and more, how do you say, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's in people's mind, I think in my cohort of graduating folks. So I think it's applying for jobs. That's like,
yeah, it's real.
Preliminary goal. And specifically I said like, I think maybe finding a job or more narrow down, like have interviews, job interviews, as a preliminary goal, just to get that started, and specific who's involved and what do I want. So specifically who is involved is obviously me is going to be involved, and other parties like the career center,
Yes.
professional staff. Also, you know, I'm thinking to perspectives too of other professionals outside the career center, like professors, staff members, per se. Where will it be done? So it will be done. So I have specifically in terms of having my resume, I think, be fully developed and everything. I have actually finished this, so I think me starting to apply for jobs will be specifically towards the end of this month. So
great.
31st, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to now to just start looking and submitting my resume and just, you know, wait for a response, or applying that process. So why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this for my livelihood, to survive, to pay my bills. But that's why I'm doing this. Measurable. How much? How many?
Yeah. So like, so, you know, like, are you going to spend, how many hours a week are you going to spend on, you know, job searching, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so-
how many jobs are you going to apply for a week, right? Those are the things
Right,
that I
right,
want you to
right.
think about.
Yeah, so so it's gonna be measurable. I'm setting myself to at least for you know, the 2 months that I have in school to apply at least I'm gonna say at least 5, because I feel like I could do 5.
Perfect. So maybe like like 2 a month or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like 2,
Okay.
like 1 every 2 weeks or something to that extent, you know?
Okay, 1. Okay, that's good. I'm writing that down. 1.
Yes, right. Because it's like the more that we're, because 5 still,
Yeah.
that's overwhelming to think about. Oh my God, I have to apply for 5 jobs. Okay, well then if I apply for 1 job every 2 weeks, because that's how long sometimes it takes, right? A cover letter takes a lot of time. You need to tailor your resume to the job opportunity itself also, right? So there's like a lot of tailoring that goes into that.
Yes.
So I think that's really realistic, especially given your course load that you're working on right now, which I know
Right.
is intense. So
yeah. Okay,
awesome.
perfect. Yeah, I'll do that. That's really good.
Excellent.
Attainable is my goal. Reasonable.
Yep.
I think it's reasonable, just the fact that I've done this kind of search and job hunting. I'm familiar with the process, and normally jobs that are that I have applied only consisted of like if I'm honest, like I was just like submit my resume.
Yeah.
And depending on the cover letter, that's one aspect that you said.
Yeah.
The ones that I applied don't have required cover letter, but I think just because I wasn't looking more, I think it's just like I don't want to call it basic, but it doesn't require a lot of technical aspects, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's something to consider. So I think it's doable, especially with the time, you know, every 2 weeks for one job. And I'm saying at least 5, so I could, you know, maybe not even do 5, at least 4, you know what I mean, or 3.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Like managing your expectations, especially
Yeah.
given what you're doing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing, Christian. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So let's think about then, right? So hopefully you guys have something that you're working with. And if you don't yet, because again, like these things take longer than 3 minutes. So I really salute everyone who has anything considering, like we probably need a full day workshop on goal setting, right? Like this is just a little bit. Let's think about the motivation that we need to keep on going, right? So, you know, we have to basically water the seeds, right? That we plant, right? So that we can have harvest. So, I love this. This is the flyer that you know, part of the PDF that was sent out, and I love that it talks about inspiration and it talks about action, because I think these are both essential. So, what steps can I take to sustain my focus on my goals? And I love that it goes through inspirational quotes. Which famous quotes inspire me to stay positive? So for me, I'm thinking there's an Audre Lorde quote that talks about how self-care, like self-love, is like a revolutionary act, right? Especially for, like, you know, women of color. So obviously I'm butchering that, but so that's something to think about. Visual cues, where can I post my goals, and favorite quotes so I see them daily? So I have a Pinterest account, and I kid you not, every single morning, like, I'm always with the inspirational quotes every single day, right? I have my vision board. That's another way that I do it. But now let's think about the action piece, right? So that's the inspiration piece, but now you got to think about the action. So who's going to help you get there? So just in terms of other inspiration, we talk about emotional cheerleaders. Like, who are your people that uplift you in your life? We all know those people that don't uplift us, okay? And sometimes some of these people are in our own familia, okay? Like, so who is it that is in your life who is uplifting you? And who's going to cheer you on and celebrate you when you have these wins? And then, like, what are some motivational songs that make me feel powerful and capable? Like, what kind of music do you like to listen to? Do you like to listen to, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, some reggaeton, some J Balvin, some Mi Gente, like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you like to listen to that, like, gets you, like, pumped up, right? Or also, what readings, what are some informative books or websites that focus on pursuing goals? So, like, it just depends on who you are and what speaks to you. And then what are some rewards? What are some ways that you can reward yourself for meeting those benchmarks and deadlines? So maybe Elisa, if she every Sunday devotes an hour for the first month, right? She could, like, maybe give herself a treat of, do you know what I mean? Like some chocolate, or do you know what I mean? Like, you know, whatever it is that would make you happy. So those are all forms of inspiration, and there's many more than that. This is not an exhaustive list. So I want you to think about what motivates you. For me, in my room, I put up those LED lights that change color. So when I listen to music, it goes to the música. So I feel like I actually have, like, my own little dancing studio, like, in my room, because that's what motivates me, right? So if I want to be a Zumba instructor, that's one way to think about that. Next, think about the action. So who are the faculty and staff, like, that, you know, who's achieved what you want to achieve? Like, who can you meet with? Like, should you set an office hour with somebody? Should you come to my office hour on Friday from 12 to 1? Absolutely, I think you should. Shameless plug for me. Next, peer accountability. Which friends have similar goals? Who can help me hold myself accountable? Think about that. Like, you know which friends you have that, do you know what I mean? Like, really encourage you. And then events and trainings. What conferences, workshops, and networking events can I attend? So just you guys attending this workshop or attending any of the academic resilience workshops, that is a big part of this, right? So think about, I like to think about professional development. I'm constantly engaging in professional development because I want to be I want to be better at what I do every single day. Like, that makes me really happy. I love learning. So that's one way that I do that. And then last, like, what tools and apps, what planning tools and apps can help me track my progress towards my goals? So for me, I love Evernote. That works really great for me because, kind of like what Valerie was talking about, I set daily goals for myself. So I have kind of like this big overarching strategic goals that I go by every semester. And then I break them down into little goals every day. So, like, for me, it's like meditating and praying every single day. Do you know what I mean? Making sure I get in some physical activity, right? Like, making, like, just little things, but those little daily goals will eventually get me to my bigger goals. But you have to think about your big goals first and then kind of break them down into the smallest possible steps. So I want us to maybe, for the next, just like for just 1 minute, I want you, even if you just fill out one box, I want you to think about what are some of the, one thing for inspiration and one thing of action that you could do for one of your goals that you've set. Because I know we are wrapping up very soon. All right, just a few more seconds. All right, who would like to share just one thing of motivation for you and one thing of action for you to meet one of your goals? I'm like, I hope, Elisa, I hope you're on tap.
I actually have one.
Excellent, Christian.
It's right in my, like, I'm looking at it at the wall right now, and I always see it. It's by Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
And this one, it says, it goes, if you can, it's a little, I don't know. I just, something about it, like, it resonates, but it says, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
I love that.
I love this quote just because that's how I feel, you know, very sometimes constrained, or just like, to me, sometimes when like, it tells me, if you're stuck in this way, find another way, or even a reminder that, okay, I have to sit back and be open, expand my thinking process. And I like that. I really like that. Especially when I'm like writing, you know, I get stuck and I'm like, you know, I tend to cry a little bit when it comes to writing.
I'm glad that I'm not the only Chiona in here.
Yeah, I know, crying, you know, like, I'm on an emotional journey this semester. I think it's because I'm graduating. I don't know. Maybe it's that
cathartic.
And I'm on other things too, but yeah, you know, I see it, and like all the time, it's just like beautiful. Like, in the way, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it kind of unlocks other things in my mind too.
Thank you for sharing, Christian. I appreciate that. I want to just make sure, because I want to be cognizant of people's time. I know that we only have 2 minutes left, maybe we only have a minute. So what are your thoughts on this process? Like, and like, in your experience, what is usually the most challenging part? So who else would like to share, maybe who hasn't had a chance to share yet? Like, how was this process for you? Grace, I'm just going to call on you because I know you. Like, what is this process like for you?
Good. It gave me something to think about, the steps in between I should be taking to reach a goal. Because otherwise you're just thinking, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, oh, this and that. And this kind of gives you more of a, just kind of a feel of what you should be thinking about to accomplish it.
Definitely. It makes it more tangible, right? Which is beautiful. Thank you so much, Grace, for letting me call on you. I really appreciate that. So just reflection and next steps. Is there, what is something you will take away from this workshop? So even just in the chat, just if you want to just say, if there's something that you're going to take away, please share that with us so that we can celebrate with you in that. If you're interested in staying connected with me and talk about your goal process, I'm so happy to do that. Again, you can contact me directly at my email address, or you can come to my El Centro office hours on Fridays from 12 to 1. And of course, the next session is going to be developing positive relationships with professors, which is going to be on Thursday, November 5th from 4 to 5 from Dr. Jonathan Gomez, who's an assistant professor of Chicana and Chicano studies. So it's been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you today. I will stay afterwards if anybody wants to stay and chat. And thank you so much, Elisa, for putting the office hour Zoom. I hope that I'm going to have more students from El Centro come to my office hour so we can talk about your goals, like more specifically on a one-on-one basis. So if you have time, and if you don't have time from 12 to 1 on Friday, send me a message and we can find another time to connect. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Valerie, for sharing that you really liked hearing our stories. Definitely sticking with a routine is difficult. My goal has always been to do a routine for a week, but it slips away. So I think really let's think about how can we break it up into the smallest possible steps. And even if we and don't make it that it has to be 7 days a week. It could be only just 1 day a week, just to try something out, right? Like start small. I think that is the key about this. Christian, I'm so glad that you appreciate this. And then I'll see you you'll talk to me tomorrow about his ideas and goals. That'd be fantastic. But yes, check your calendar. All right, so thank you guys. Anybody have any questions for me? And again, this will be recorded. Well, if not,
thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gomez, for leading this workshop and for making yourself available to students. Again, she's around Centro and is more than willing to connect with you all. So muchas gracias.
Thank you, Elisa.